Hello and welcome. Good afternoon. You're watching CNN News 18 and I am Poonam Burde. And the big story we're tracking at this hour comes from the apex court of this country. The hearing on the Kerala story, the film and the ban that was imposed on it by the West Bengal government is currently underway. The Chief Justice of India is hearing this particular case and he's questioned the basis of the West Bengal government and why it has banned this film. Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud has come out and said, and in fact asked the West Bengal government that on what basis are they saying that the film should be banned because just 13 people have watched that film. The Mamata government, on the other hand, has come out and defended the move. They're talking about the number that was spoken of, the 32,000 number that the filmmakers had initially spoken of, which were later changed to 3, and that really is the objection that the state government is raising. Ananya Bhatnagar, my colleague, joining us for more details of what's transpiring in court. The hearing continues, Ananya. There's back and forth between the filmmakers, their counsel and the state government, but very sharp observations coming to the fore from the Chief Justice.
Definitely sharp observations coming in from the Chief Justice of India. Very clearly doesn't seem to be inclined, in fact, to interfere, to actually keep a ban going on on that particular film. And I'll read down certain observations of the Chief Justice of India for you. Is that he's questioning that it has released everywhere else in the country. Saying, we said the West Bengal's demographic profile is a very different one. You cannot assess the demographic profile as same in one state. The exercise of power has to be proportional. Intolerance of any kind cannot be tolerated, is what the Chief Justice of India is saying, clearly mentioning that there is, free speech in the country, and that's the reason why the film shall actually go. And he also goes on to say that as much as we protect free speech, you cannot vilify a community. Salve says that there is no authentic figure available. He then questions him, but the complaint says 32,000 girls are missing. Salve, I will clarify in the disclaimer, we have already clarified in the disclaimer that there is no authentic figure, is what Mr. Salve, who's representing the producers of this film, is saying before the Supreme Court. But in a short while from now, whether or not would the Supreme Court actually stay these particular ban orders that have been issued by the West Bengal government and would issue certain kind of directions to the state of Tamil Nadu, wherein a de facto ban, as said by the filmmakers, is there, is something that we'll get to know when the court actually begins to pronounce its order in this particular case. But at this point of time, heated arguments going on and strong observations from the judges coming in the Kerala story case before the Supreme Court of India.
And Mr. Harish Salve, who's arguing on behalf of the filmmakers, also goes on to say that the clip that the West Bengal government has attached of the film in their petition does not show the figure of 32,000. So even as the state government harps on the number of 32,000, why that's a problem, there is a rebuttal coming in on that figure as well. Ananya, though, are we expecting a verdict to come out, an order to come out today itself? Because the last few hearings we've seen that either a response was sought or the Chief Justice bench had said that there is no real hurry and we'll hear the matter as and when it happens.
Well, definitely, this is definitely a very important matter, and since the arguments are going on, and now at this present point of time, the bench is discussing after hearing the arguments of senior advocate Kapil Sibal, and see what Kapil Sibal is saying is that please see the discussion of the Maulvis, etc. It shows absolute malafide intention to vigilify the Muslim community. It says it is true event. Then it shows Muslim men speaking to lure Hindu women, impregnate them and then send them to Syria. What are we doing in this country? Please watch it, my lord, is what Kapil Sibal is saying. He's basically trying to show, in fact, a scene of the film. He's trying to read out a scene of the film and to say that, there is a vendetta that is going on against one particular community. But at the same point of time, the hearing still continues. The bench is still discussing the matter. Whether or not a stay would be lifted on, in fact, the Kerala story or not, whether the Supreme Court would be passing certain kind of direction, is something that we'll get to know in a short while from now. Poonam.
Right, so is there any decisive order or verdict that comes out today, or is this just sharp observations that are coming to the fore? We'll have to wait and watch out for that. But just to recap of what's transpiring in court, remember 4 days after the Kerala story, the film had released in the country and worldwide. The West Bengal government had decided to ban the film. The Chief Minister had come out and said that this film has been banned because it has, the state has reasons to believe that this could invoke communal passions, could flame communal passions, and instances could happen of law and order deterioration. The state government then went on to record, filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court as well, and listed certain intel reports, certain instances that had come to the fore in the 4 days between the release of the film and the ban that was then placed. The Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, is now hearing the matter. Some sharp observations are coming to the fore. And Ananya, every single time there is an issue of a ban on a film or a work of art, there's always the freedom of expression, freedom of speech argument that is being made. That is also something that has come up in this particular hearing as well, where the Chief Justice has made it clear that the freedom of speech part of the Constitution, or that right of every single citizen, cannot be used as per convenience. He's gone on to say that Section 6 cannot be used to put a premium on public intolerance.
Well, definitely it's been said by the Chief Justice of India, and even if we go by the law in the country, all of the fundamental rights, even if it's the freedom of speech and expression, is not absolute. The whole argument, the whole Article 19, which actually grants you the freedom of speech and expression in Part 1 of its section. The second part, the Article 19 Part 2, basically goes on to give out the reasonable restrictions which can actually be used to actually restrict the freedom of speech, and it also mentions the public order, health and morality, where in fact these are the restrictions where in fact the free speech can be curtailed. And this is exactly what the Chief Justice of India is pointing out, to saying that though the freedom of speech and expression is a tantamount in the Constitution of India, but at the same point of time it cannot be used to vilify a particular community or disturb the public order, is what the Chief Justice of India was actually implying to say by his observations. The bench is currently discussing what will happen next, is something that we'll have to wait and watch. Now, the Chief Justice of India said that Kerala is not granted to stay, but Madras, we have to deal with it. Simple. Please watch it, my lord. We cannot get into legal tapostrophe. Whether to ban or not can only be decided after you see it. It impacts millions of people. Art is also subject to 19.2, is exactly what I was actually pointing out to you, that there are reasonable restrictions under Article 19.2 of the Constitution of India, which actually can restrict the right to freedom of speech and expression. But at the same point of time, whether in fact the Chief Justice of India led bench would actually would uplift the ban or not, is something that we'll get to know. Mr. Sibal is actually persuading him to actually watch the film, but whether or not the bench take the decision to actually watch the particular film is something that we'll have to wait and watch.
It's just a matter of time before we hear perhaps the final word coming in from the Supreme Court. Ananya, my colleague, getting us the very latest as the arguments are being made. The Chief Justice of India is deliberating and giving his observations as far as freedom of speech is concerned, as far as this particular ban and the basis of the ban by the West Bengal government is concerned. Now, Ananya, the figure 32,000 is something that was the matter of discussion, not just as far as this hearing goes, but ever since the film has been released, or the trailer of this was released, that figure is something that many had taken objection to. We have the Filmmakers Council going on record to again and again reiterate that that figure is not the figure that is there in the disclaimer when the movie came out. The disclaimer clearly says that there is no authentic figure that's available.
Definitely, Poonam, and exactly what the Chief Justice of India has actually questioned Mr. Harish Salve, who's appearing for the producers, is Mr. Salve, what about the 32,000 figure? This is distortion of fact. Salve clarifies that they've corrected that in the disclaimer, but the CJI also goes on to read the screenshot of the movie, which states that 28 to 3,200 girls got converted into Islam. 32 is in dialogue in the film, is what the Chief Justice of India asked. He said that he'll verify it, and now in fact, Sibal is arguing before the court. He says that some scenes and plot line is very, very disturbing. Huzaifa Ahmedi, who's also in fact is appearing for one of those petitioners in this particular case, is saying that his petition has the complete transcript of the movie, and that can be used in order to actually see as to whether the movie is something that vilifies one community or not. So what happens next is we are also waiting for whether the Supreme Court will be passing certain kind of orders, is something that we'll get to know. He's actually started to go on and dictate the order into this particular case. He says that he is noting down the facts of the case. The challenge to the final judgment of the Madras High Court challenging the CBFC certification we will list after vacation. We will have to see the film for that. We will do that. Regarding the ban in West Bengal, we will stay the order of the West Bengal and record Tamil Nadu to provide security.